Hello my dear students, welcome. On this session we are going to do a very interesting topic in psychiatry that's called somatoform and factitious disorders. And if you look at the slide, I've written below unexplained symptoms. The patient comes with symptoms, you try to examine the patient, you investigate the patient, nothing is found, you tell your patient nothing has happened to you, patient says okay, goes back for some days, again returns with the same symptoms. It's very difficult to differentiate in these situations whether the patient is faking, whether the patient really has a very serious symptoms and you need to undertake some important investigations, some detailed investigation. Very difficult to differentiate and a very common situation in practice, and that's called somatoform and factitious disorders. Let's have a look at the board. Somatoform and factitious disorder. There is symptom formation. The patient is presenting with some symptom. You don't have any explanation for this symptom. You try your best to satisfy yourself and the patient, but you can't. The symptom formation is unconscious in certain situations, and in certain situations the symptom formation is conscious. When the symptom formation is unconscious, you call it somatoform disorder. Soma is body, is indicating about the bodily symptom. So if the symptom formation is unconscious, it's called somatoform disorders. If the symptom formation is conscious, the patient is well aware about this symptom formation, it could be called factitious disorder or factitious disorder by proxy, or the patient is faking. That's called malingering. So this is a different issue. We'll discuss this at the end. Before that, we're going to concentrate on the somatoform disorder. And just to have an overview, you can have somatization disorder, you can have conversion disorder, hypochondriasis, body dysmorphic disorder, and pain disorder. So there are 5 conditions under somatoform disorder. What could confuse you is the 2 words somatoform and somatization disorder. Somatoform disorders is a group of disorders which includes all these 5. Somatization disorder is a specific disorder which is under the heading of somatoform disorder. I hope you are going to remember. So let's start the discussion of somatoform and factitious disorder. Have a look at the slide. Unconscious symptom formation happens in the somatoform disorders, and there's another situation which we are not going to discuss on this module, and that's masked depression. The patient is suffering from depression, but the patient presents with bodily symptoms, physical symptoms, and the patient doesn't feel he's suffering from depression, but the patient comes to you for body ache, headache, etc. That's called masked depression. This also comes under unconscious symptom formation, and if you investigate the patient, if you really do the thorough clinical examination and psychological examination, you would come to a conclusion of depression. So that's masked depression. So unconscious symptom formation for today's discussion, somatoform disorders. And symptom formation is conscious, as I already said, factitious disorder and malingering. If the symptom formation is unconscious, the patient believes that he is medically ill. That's your somatoform disorder and masked depression. Symptom formation is conscious in factitious disorder, and the patient is forming this symptom consciously for psychological reasons. Please remember, for psychological reasons. We're going to discuss it. What is the psychological reasons? As far as malingering is concerned, the patients feign the mental or physical illness or actually induce physical illness in themselves. So it's either faking or actually inducing the medical illness. That's malingering. Let's move forward with the next slide. Have a look at the slide. I've done it again nicely for you. On the top I have written physical symptom not explained by medical illness or substance abuse. You try to rule out all the medical conditions and also the substance abuse. Still you cannot explain the physical symptom. Then look at the left column, unconscious symptom formation. Here the patient believes that he is medically ill, and this includes, for today's discussion, somatoform disorders. In addition to this, there are conditions like depression itself, anxiety disorders, and masked depression. In all this, the symptom formation is unconscious. Coming to the right side of the table, the conscious symptom formation, in which the patients feign the medical or physical illness or actually produce illness in themselves, two disorders, factitious disorder and malingering. Now to go one step ahead, in factitious disorder there are psychological reasons to gain attention and care, so it's called psychological gain. In malingering, it's a tangible gain or material gain in the form of money, release from law or work, or for some other reason. So that's the table which is giving you the overview of this chapter. Let's move forward with the next slide to discuss the somatoform disorders. In somatoform disorders, once again I repeat, the symptom formation is unconscious, so the patient is not lying. So please believe your patient first. Try to understand the patient is trying to say that this is the symptom. If you have already come to the conclusion that there is no medical illness, then it could be somatoform disorder. This patient is not lying. This patient is fond of moving from doctors to doctors. That is called doctor shopping. So if you are not able to satisfy your patient with your management, the patient might shift to another doctor. So that's called doctor shopping. This is common in somatoform disorder. And why we are calling it disorder is it leads to impairment of the social and occupational functioning. It leads to impaired social or occupational functioning. This patient is not performing well as far as his social status is concerned, as far as his occupational status is concerned. And this patient, in addition, might have depression or anxiety. Please remember this. So that's the gist of the somatoform disorders. On this slide, you see 5 different disorders shown, which I showed you in the beginning of this particular module. Number 1, somatization disorder. Number 2, conversion disorder. Number 3, hypochondriasis. Number 4, body dysmorphic disorder. And number 5, pain disorder. Etiology of somatoform disorders. The important thing is the patients are not aware of this disease. They have a primary gain as defense mechanism, that is the expression of unacceptable emotion as the physical symptom. And the secondary gain may be symptom once established serves a useful purpose of gaining attention to avoid the responsibility of taking own care and to patients' role play. So these are some of the important issues of primary gain and secondary gain. These disorders begin in early adulthood. The chronic symptoms keep on worsening with stress and they improve in favorable situations. So please remember this. When it's a stressful situation, the patient's symptoms might worsen. These disorders are more common in females as compared to the males. The families are known with somatization disorder and pain disorder. So there is some familial etiology. The hypochondriasis also has got some familial etiology, and it's more in monozygotic twins as compared to the dizygotic twins. So there's a good concordance rate in monozygotic twins. As far as the somatization disorder is concerned, there may be family history of antisocial personality disorder as well as alcoholism. It is known. I hope you remember your defense mechanisms in which we said somatization is a common defense mechanism in the persons having substance abuse, especially alcoholism. In hypochondriasis and pain disorder, there could be family history of mood disorders and obsessive compulsive disorder. Hypochondriasis, because this patient is excessively conscious about his body. So there could be a family history of obsessive compulsive disorder. Now we discuss the first one, that's called somatization disorder. In this the symptoms begin before the age of 30 usually. So it's an early adulthood. And this is also called as Briquet syndrome. Somatization disorder is also called as Briquet syndrome. The somatic complaints dominate. It's not fear. It's the somatic complaints. It's the bodily complaints. So there may be 4 complaints of pain, 2 complaints from the gastrointestinal system, 1 complaint from the sexual system, and 1 complaint could be pseudo-neurological. 4 plus 2, 6 plus 1, 7 plus 8, at least 8 physical symptoms have to be there. Then you try to label it as somatization disorder. And you don't find an adequate cause. The symptoms are chronic. They are present over years. And if you look at the history, if you ask the patient, you could know that these particular symptoms are there for 10 years, 20 years. So it's somatization disorder, obviously. And because there was no adequate medical cause found, no other treatment was done, obviously. The total remission is rare in this somatization disorder. The second one is conversion disorder. It's a voluntary motor or sensory loss, one or more places, one or more locations. And the very important character of convergent disorder, for example, if you get a paralysis on one side of your body, you are likely to be in extreme anxiety, stress, distress. You are likely to be sad. But in convergent disorder, there is labile indifference. Patient is not at all worried about this. Patient is not anxious about these serious symptoms which has suddenly happened. So look at the characteristic. There could be sudden paralysis, sudden inability to speak, see or hear. There could be pseudo seizures. There could be globus hystericus, dysphagia, paresthesias, anesthesia. All this could happen. It's all of a sudden happening, abruptly happening. And it could be associated with a life stressful event or life stressful symptom. The patient is typically indifferent about this symptom. The patient is not serious about these symptoms. Patient is unworried. And this could be combined with histrionic personality disorder, that's the strange personality disorder, or it could be combined comorbid with depression. The symptoms are usually self-limiting and the remission happens on its own within 1 month. You don't need to give any medication. Hypnosis or the drug-assisted interview might be helpful in these patients. So that's convergent disorder. A very important characteristic is a sudden, abrupt, serious symptom and the patient is unworried about the symptom or the patient has indifference about the symptom. So the first one, just to remind you, was somatization disorder, in which there are many physical symptoms lasting for years and the patient goes on changing from one doctor to another doctor. The second one, convergent disorder, is a sudden, abrupt, serious symptom with indifference on the part of the patient, a sense of dissociation on the part of the patient. We go to the next one and that's called hypochondriasis. The patient is preoccupied over a period of 6 months with a fear of having serious illness, and this fear really dominates. There's a persistent and repetitive concern about this, and the patient gets recurrent unwanted thoughts about the illness. The patient has been investigated thoroughly, the patient has been examined thoroughly, the patient has been told nothing has happened to you, you are extremely fine. So despite negative medical findings and reports and investigations, the patient has a fear of serious illness. These patients often maintain very detailed and long diaries of what happened on which particular day and date in which year and according to the time and what the patient did for this, which medication he took. So this patient is likely to have a very big case sheet, very big history sheet, bigger, much bigger than your own case sheet. It's likely to be a big diary. So that's hypochondriasis. And the patient misinterprets the symptom. If the patient gets some normal distressful situation, some common symptom like some headache which lasts for 10 or 15 minutes, the patient misinterprets for brain tumor maybe. So a small symptom might be made big and the patient might be fearing about having serious medical illness. For hypochondriasis, just like obsessive compulsive disorder and impulse control disorders, SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, just to remind you an example, fluoxetine, SSRI are useful to manage hypochondriasis. So that's the situation number 3. I'm not going to leave you, I'm going to take you back and again remind you. First one was again somatization disorder, many symptoms for many years despite negative medical reports. Convergent disorder, sudden, abrupt, serious illness with sense of dissociation. And now we did hypochondriasis, that is the fear of having a serious illness, being preoccupied, a small symptom made big, and the patient thinks he might be suffering from a very serious illness. So that's hypochondriasis. The last two are comparatively easy to understand. Number 4 is body dysmorphic disorder, in which the patient is preoccupied with minor or imagined defects in appearance. This is common in females and this is usually in the region of face or head. There's a small lesion on the face, a small skin lesion on the face, and the person gets the sense of dysmorphism. The patient feels it's all looking ugly and the patient is very seriously preoccupied. Again, the patient moves from doctors to doctors. These patients are called as treasure house for plastic surgeons. The patient might go and request for some plastic surgery. So that's body dysmorphic disorder. The last one, number 5, is pain disorder. It's specifically called pain disorder because the predominant symptom is pain. It may be appearing from anywhere, but the predominant symptom is pain. This starts in 30s or 40s usually, and the complaint might be acute or chronic. It may be lasting up to 6 months, and the patient complains of protracted intense pain. And you cannot explain this very serious, very acute and protracted intense pain by the physical causes or by the disabling. You cannot at all explain by all the medical reasons. And this patient gets dependent on pain medication because his complaint is a very serious, acute or protracted pain. The patient starts taking pain medication and becomes dependent on pain medication. So because it's only pain and arising only usually from one area, it's called specifically pain disorder. And the drugs again which are useful for this are the antidepressant drugs in the form of selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, that's SSRI. We move on to the differential diagnosis of somatoform disorders, all of them taken together, in which the symptom formation is unconscious. Unidentified organic ailment may be there in this patient, and it's your job to refer the patient to the appropriate physician or surgeon and to get it confirmed, to rule out if there's any unidentified organic ailment. Misdiagnosis can delay the treatment sometimes. You might be feeling this is somatoform disorder, but the patient might be suffering from a serious illness. For example, globus hystericus may be mistaken for cranial nerve disorder. There may be a cranial nerve disorder which you were not able to detect, and you might label it as globus hystericus as somatoform disorder, but it may not be so. Easily undetectable spinal arachnoiditis is another condition which may be missed. Connective tissue disorders like systemic lupus erythematosus and rheumatoid arthritis, if not appropriately investigated in time, may be missed. Some other conditions include brain tumor, multiple sclerosis, some forms of epilepsy or dementia, then sometimes stroke, myasthenia, chronic fatigue syndromes and fibromyalgia. These are some important conditions you need to rule out before labeling the patient as somatoform disorder. In addition to this, you have to rule out some psychological conditions like depression, anxiety, factitious disorders and malingering. So that's about the differential diagnosis of somatoform disorder. What you need to remember is there are some very serious illnesses which must be ruled out. Somatoform disorders, how to manage them? Individual and group psychotherapy often helps. Sometimes hypnosis helps these patients. Behavioral relaxation therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy are some other modalities which could be useful in somatoform disorders. As far as the drugs are concerned, SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Have a look at the slide. I have written on this slide there are various situations in which SSRI are useful. This will be a revision of SSRI. They may be useful in depression. We already know they are antidepressant drugs. They may be useful in various anxiety states. Then they might be useful in hypochondriasis, body dysmorphic disorder, as well as pain disorder. So this is the principles for management of somatoform disorders. After this, look at the board, we come to the right side. That's the conscious symptom formation. That's factitious disorder and malingering. Factitious disorder is also called Munchausen syndrome. Feigning or pretending is the basic symptom in this. The patient is feigning for some psychological gain and attention, and usually this is seen as far as the medical profession is concerned. The complaints may be abdominal pain and fever, and when you try to investigate thoroughly, you might know that the patient is heating a thermometer and then applying it to himself and saying that my body temperature is raised. Some patients can add blood in the urine by a needle prick, injuring themselves, and they might add blood in their own urine and say that I've got hematuria. Patients might feign seizures. They might feign the skin lesions by producing injuries on themselves. They might take a medication which is known to produce tachycardia and then present to the physician, or there may be abdominal scars which are observed during the physical examination, which is called grid abdomen. These patients most commonly are from the medical and paramedical profession because they have some knowledge of how to feign a particular symptom. These patients do not consciously understand why they need to do this. The patient will accept he did it, but he doesn't understand why he needs to do it. So I'm calling it as conscious symptom formation. The second disorder is factitious disorder by proxy. Parent or other adult feigns or induces illness in a child to gain attention. This is considered as child abuse, and this must be reported to the child welfare authorities. There may be history of serious illness in childhood in this particular patient. There may be history of childhood abuse or neglect in this patient, and this leads to impaired functioning, unnecessary surgeries, procedures, and medication. All this can happen. So this is not inducing the illness in yourself, but inducing the illness in your child. That's factitious disorder by proxy. So that is the first one, factitious disorder in the conscious symptom formation. And lastly, we come to what is called malingering. It's a conscious simulation or exaggeration of the physical or mental illness. And obviously there is some tangible gain. There is financial or some other obvious gain. This is not a psychiatric illness, but because you can get a patient with the unexplained symptoms, we have included it under these disorders. These patients may be incarcerated in past, they may be involved in lawsuits, and they try to avoid the doctors and the treatment. In contrast with factitious disorders. When it's a factitious disorder, as I gave you an example, the patient is pricking himself and adding the blood to the urine and getting some psychological gain. And if you say to this patient, we're going to send some more samples for investigation, we're going to send your urine for culture and sensitivity, the patient is happy because it's a psychological gain which the patient is getting, that I'm being looked after or I'm being given attention to. And this is why the patients with factitious disorder, they will not oppose if you go for detailed investigations, detailed examination. Whereas the patients with malingering, they already know that it is exaggeration of the physical or mental symptom that this person is doing for obvious financial gain. And naturally, if you try to go for detailed investigation or examination, this patient is going to oppose and say that nothing has happened to me, there's no need to go for this investigation. So patients with malingering, they try to avoid doctors and the treatment. Patients with factitious disorder, they are more interested and they get encouraged when you go for detailed investigation. So that's the difference. As far as malingering is concerned, the symptoms dramatically improve on obtaining the desired goal. For example, someone is faking for abdominal pain because he needs a medical certificate from you for being absent from his work. If you issue a medical certificate, after that the person is extremely fine. So the symptoms dramatically improve on getting whatever was the tangible gain which was desired. So that's the difference between factitious disorders and malingering. I think let's go back and have a look at the word. Somatoform and factitious disorder, when the symptom formation is unconscious, it's called somatoform disorders, and there are 5 types of this. First one is somatization disorder, in which the patient gets many symptoms over a long period of many years, goes from one doctor to another, gets investigated thoroughly, nothing is found, but still the patient is not satisfied. The second one is conversion disorder, in which the patient gets a sudden abrupt symptom like paralysis on one side, and the patient has labile indifference or a sense of dissociation about this serious symptom. The third one is hypochondriasis, in which the patient has fear of having illness, fear of having a serious illness, keeps on thinking about every small symptoms, maintains long diaries and writes everything in detail, what happened on day-to-day basis. Body dysmorphic disorder. The patient is thinking that there is some dysmorphism and there is some ugliness, especially in the face, more commonly seen in the females. And the last one, pain disorder. Only symptom is probably the pain, and the pain is very intense, arising probably only from one area. Then you call it as pain disorder. So this was all unconscious symptom formation. And on the right side, conscious symptom formation is factitious disorder in the patient himself. Like he might produce some injury, he might produce something in himself and come with a complaint that I've got this illness, or he might do it in a child, that's factitious disorder by proxy. If the patient accepts that yes, I did it, if you ask the patient why are you doing it, the patient says, I really don't understand. Yes, the patient really doesn't understand why he needs to do it, and it is basically for psychological gain. The patient feels happy that the patient is being investigated, the patient is being given attention to, and this is why these patients are interested more and more in getting investigated and getting more reports. Whereas malingering is just faking for a tangible gain. Maybe a leave permission, maybe the getting free from the work, getting free from the jail, getting free from getting arrested, or a financial gain from the government. And this is called malingering. These patients get extremely fine after the tangible gain is achieved. So I think this was a nice class and you enjoyed it, and make a good use of it. There are minor differences which I tried to bring to you. These are going to be useful for you when you go to your 5 or 4 options of your multiple choice questions, and I'm sure you're going to do well. Best luck.